the fight announcements. Let's talk about those. The UFC had some big plans to reveal for the end of the year pay-per-view. Top to the bottom, the card was actually filling out really nicely. We just didn't know how big of a bang, right, we would have at the top. We were waiting for it. Well, we have 2 title fights, and though the biggest names in the promotion aren't involved, everyone I've spoken to is pleasantly pleased. But to be fair, McGregor's semi-retired. Jones fights the night before, or the month before. Pereira just fought, and he does need a break. Makhachev was hurt. O'Malley just lost. So, these are some of the biggest names that are just available. So it's Belal Muhammad defending his welterweight title against Shavkhat Rakhmonov, and Alexandre Pantoja is defending his UFC flyweight title against Kai Asakura, who comes over from Ryzen. So let's get a reaction from there. Was Muhammad Rakhmonov the right fight to make?
Yeah, I think it's the right fight to make, but boy, does it kind of show like they're throwing the kitchen sink at this guy. And I feel like, let's just say he gets past this fight, it ain't getting any easier. Belal Muhammad, his title reign, whatever it is he thinks he's going to accomplish, he's going to have to go through some killers. But I do love this matchup. I think it's going to be a really, really fun fight. I actually think this is even harder to predict than the last fight. Belal Muhammad, with so many improvements in his game, and Shavkat, it's just so quick, man. He's so good. He feels like he's the future of how fighters are going to be looking. I think it's the right move, and I think it's going to be a great fight.
You like it, Danny? Was that the right pairing?
Yeah, I love it. This fight I've been calling for a while now. There was a lot of contenders there. If they would have gone with an Ian Gary, well, Jack Della Maddalena is injured, but let's say he was healthy and they would have gone with him or Sean Brady. Those guys all deserve it as well. But I think the most deserving guy, and honestly, the most interesting challenge right now, it is Shavkhat Rakhmonov. So I think this is a home run. I think this is a hardcore fight. I don't think it'll do crazy numbers like a McGregor, like a Jones fight. But boy, like if you are a fan of mixed martial arts, like you are tuning into this fight. This fight's amazing. I'm super hyped up, and we're going to get into it in a few seconds. But the rest of the card, man, is looking great. So I'm super, super excited for UFC 310.
Matt, unanimous?
100%. It's a fight to make. It's an incredible fight for the welterweight division, and it makes sense rankings-wise. When we're coming off of a light heavyweight title fight where you saw the number 8 guy get a title shot, well, now you get the number 3 getting a title shot, and he's undefeated. Belal Muhammad staying active. You love to see it, man. This is a fantastic matchup. Like Danny said, it's a hardcore fight, and it's a hardcore card up to top to bottom as well. But it's going to be one of the most entertaining cards of the year, in my opinion.
And what's your early lean here?
As far as the
Muhammad and Rakhmonov fight.
As far as the outcome, man, this is a tough fight to pick. It is so hard to pick. Like, I'm gonna be flipping coins up until it's time to submit our staff picks for sure. But man, I early lean, considering the run he's on right now, man, it's hard to pick against Belal. It really is.
I'm with you, Danny.
Look at his face.
One.
Well, the other guy's undefeated and he's finished every fight.
I think he can. I think Belal's probably all around the better fighter, technically speaking. I think if they were to spar, we'd probably see Belal beat him most of the time. But this is a fight. I feel like Shavkhat, when it comes down to fighting, getting violent, getting nasty, he is a little bit better than that at Belal. So I expect this to be a very, very close fight. But that violence factor got to add up some points. So I'm going to go with Shavkhat, but we'll see in a few weeks what I'm thinking, because I feel like I'm probably going to go back and forth in this one.
Danny, if I had 2 tickets to the World Cup final and Colombia's in it, but I told you the only way you
World
can go
Cup
is if you pick the right winner of that fight. You're really going to go with Rakhmonov against the tear that Muhammad's been in after what he did to Edwards in England?
Well, I thought you were going to make me choose between that and something else. No, yeah. If I'm choosing life or watching Colombia
playing the South Florida card, guys. He just wants to go to the gym later on and get an interview with Rakhmonov.
In terms of, yeah, I'm going to go with Rakhmonov for now. Yeah, man. The dude's a killer, undefeated. He's faced all kinds of styles so far and looked great. Belal's a badass again, but like if I had to pick, dude, I'm going to go with Shavkhat. He wears dead animals on his head and he sits on thrones. Like, how can you not go for it?
Did you not see Belal Muhammad in that elevator, mad dogging all 5 of Edwards' team and Edwards? He has no fear. He's a beast.
I know he's a beast, but like Shavkhat literally wears beasts. So I'm gonna go with Shavkhat.
True. Hey, I'm curious, George. Underneath your hat, you still have hair, right? And Danny still has a mustache, as far as I'm concerned. I know from time to time when you guys disagree on things, one of them's got to go, right?
Mm. Mm.
Bald versus mustache bet for Rakhmonov and
See,
Muhammad.
I don't feel too
I'm in.
confident about my Rakhmonov pick for me to put my mustache on the line. So I'll put my mustache on the line for UFC 308.
Topuria
You
and
said
Holloway.
Holloway, no?
I did say Holloway, but I'm not as sure. I'm not as sure on Holloway as I am on Muhammad. Let me think about it, but I'm not saying no.
Okay.
Danny, the
I like
mustache
it.
means more than Colombia in the World Cup. That's a
Well,
bold
no,
statement.
that's if I had a pick, then I'm gonna pick Rakhmonov. But if that same prize was on the line, I'd rather choose the main event of UFC 308 than the main event of UFC 310. I feel more
All right.
comfortable picking Ilya than I do Shavkhat.
What's your early lean goes?
Um, it's hard to go against Belal Muhammad right now. I understand where Danny's coming from, and
Damn, no love for Shavkhat.
I feel the same things he does. It's just Bilal hasn't really done anything to make me think he's
He
that
just
same
ripped
Bilal.
apart
And the
everybody.
improvement from fight to fight. Um, I just can't go against him right now. But I understand why Danny's on Shavkat, and I trust me, part of me wants to do that as well.
Shavkhat
Go
is
right in the
18
fence,
and
baby.
0 and has finished everybody.
Who are his most recent wins? Burns and who else?
No, he
Wonderboy.
never fought Burns.
Oh, sorry.
He
Who?
finished Wonderboy Thompson last December. Okay, there's going to be a
He's
year
aging,
layoff.
man. He's aging.
Jeff Neal Magny. Yes, the
You see what
level
I'm
of
saying?
opposition is not nearly
Right.
as equal as Bilal. But like, you also got to look at the way he's doing it. It's not just. It's the same thing with Kayla Harrison. Like, she was kicking a lot of ass in PFL, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, who is she fighting?" But it's beyond that. Like, you have to see what she's doing to those ladies, and clearly, by her last two performances in the UFC, I think she proved that she's one of the best in the world, if not the best, in my opinion, the best.
See, I think Edwards is pretty legit, actually. I'm not throwing shade at him. So that's why I'm really amazed at how Bilal ran through him. Honestly, I'm like, whoa. I mean, and he ticked a lot of boxes. He's oozing confidence. He wants to stay busy, and he's playing. He got enough rest from that fight to now turn it around in December. So he's not rushing into anything like how Sterling had to do within 3 months he had to fight another guy and he wasn't ready for it. It just seems like I don't know, man. I really like his swag. But I think the world of Rakhmonov, I get it, but I just think that Bilal's just been fighting stiff competition
Yes.
and doing
Yeah.
well against it.
Whose resume at this point weighs more? Bilal's, for sure.
Yeah, there's also a couple other things in Bilal's favor as well. Joseph Boza in the chat called it out a second ago. He said he didn't think Shavkat has been scheduled for 25 minutes. He has not in the UFC. He has outside of the UFC. But along those lines, when has Shavkat fought somebody that can really drag a fight out all of those 25 minutes like this? Bilal's that type of guy. Bilal's that type of guy that will be in your face for 25 minutes to grind you against the cage, wrestle the hell out of you if he has to. So it's a different type of fighter that he's faced. He's coming off fights against strikers. Wonderboy, Jeff Neal Magny, Carlston Harris. These are all guys that it's a completely different game plan that he's got to deal with. And like we've all kind of said, Belal on this run that he's on right now, man, like there's a lot of things that Shavkat has not had to deal with yet.
That is true. You guys are maybe starting to convert me here to a Bilal pick.
All right, there's another title fight that was announced. Alexandre Pantoja versus Asakura, who comes over from Ryzen. He's been signed as a free agent. He goes straight into a title shot. And look, I'm not hating on that. I just wish they wouldn't have announced that before Royval versus Tyra. Why? Because I thought Tyra would be next if he were to beat Royval. And if he did something amazing, I thought it'd be a slam dunk, hanging on the rim type next of a call. But it worked out for the UFC. Tyra came up short, and so we have this. But I've always liked the fighter to come in, get the introduction. Maybe you give him a layup or you give him a winnable fight, and then boom, you move on from there. But he got ushered to the front of the line. Are you guys feeling this, Matt?
I am feeling it. I'm feeling it for a few reasons. One, so let's think back. The flyweight division was nearly axed from the UFC, right? Why? Because it wasn't considered exciting. Not a lot of people watched it. Yada yada. Whatever have you. Now we know that's far from the truth. The most exciting fights come from this division consistently now, right? But now you have Asakura coming in, a guy who brings numbers with him. He has a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers. He has 500,000 people on his Instagram following him. He is a popular dude. So he has the opportunity to come in here and be a superstar right off the bat. And that's something that I'm really intrigued by. You know, you look at his resume, he's fought some tough names in Ryzen. Excuse me. So he has an opportunity to come over here and really, you know, shock the world and really build himself into a massive star right out of the gate, which is something that, you know, when can you say that about the flyweight division ever? Someone being a massive star, you know, immediately. That's a big thing, and I'm glad the UFC capitalized on that opportunity here in this spot. I think the fight has a potential to be a fight of the year candidate. Obviously, we'll see how it goes. There are some unknowns for Kai as well. Having to make 125, having to deal with the rule set of no soccer kicks, no knees to the ground, that kind of stuff. So there's some things working against him as well. But man, when you consider the popularity, he's a fantastic fit for this fight. And not to mention, another thing that I think is pretty interesting, this is kind of the closest that we're going to get to a cross-promotional fight in the UFC now, considering he's coming straight into a title fight after leaving Ryzen. So it's a fantastic, fantastic thing that they're doing here, I think.
Man, I'm shocked that you thought all this. I mean, you brought up some good points. So you definitely supported your argument. But would you have felt this strongly even if Tyra had won and absolutely blitzed Royval?
I mean, we would have a different argument, right? Because you'd be like, okay, now we're talking about, okay, who's next up? Because
you know how there's the whole merit thing. I mean, obviously,
the merit thing is there for sure. I think he would be the solid next guy up, you know. But they decided to announce it. But like I said, I think you announce it because of the popularity that Kai is bringing to the cage, man.
Mm-hmm. Goes, you feeling that?
I think as long as it doesn't happen on the regular, I think it's okay to do this every now and again. You just can't abuse it. But, you know, you guys bring up good points. I mean, look at Kayla Harrison, right? And what she's had to do to get to her potential title shot. The division kind of needs fresh blood. And like Matt said, it does kind of make it fun. You do feel like it's Ryzen versus UFC. As long as you don't do it on the regular, you do it every now and again, I'm okay with it.
Danny?
I don't like it. I completely disagree with both these guys. Bro, like the guy, okay, yeah, he's popular over in Japan, Ryzen champion. He's beaten some solid guys, great record, veteran. But he needs one fight at least to kind of showcase and present himself to the American and UFC audience. And look, I think at this point, like Daida, if he would have won, like he would have been obviously the clear one, and it would have been a disrespect to skip him over with Kai. But at this point, like you still got Amir Abbasi. If he wins and beats Brandon Moreno, I think he's 100% deserving. Obviously, that puts the UFC in a bit of a tight spot because that's in November and this pay-per-view is in December. So I get it, but I don't know. I always feel a little bit weird when somebody arrives to the UFC and gets a title shot immediately. I do think they need one fight to prove themselves. And also, I want to point this out. I believe Kai hasn't made flyweight since like 2016 or something like that. Remember, he was fighting Juan Archuleta, Kyoji Horiguchi, all these fights at 135. The most recent weight he made was like 130, and that was like several years ago, like pre-pandemic. So yeah, we also don't know what he's gonna look like. And plus, he's got to travel now all the way to Vegas. I don't know. I would like to see him make the weight first in a regular fight before shoving him in a 25-minute fight in a weight class that he hasn't made in years. So, yeah.
I feel like this is one of those times that I was talking about where it's a business decision, where it's UFC thinking as a business. Because you're right, come in, get one fight, and then possibly. But I think maybe it's their way of saying we're not sure if we can make one fight. We need to catch in now.
Wouldn't the same apply to Harrison? She might come in even more shredded, and she's had to make 135 twice. Or, well, she made 136, right, guys? I think on both. Or
both times.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, I guess we always get over it. We make the announcement, react, and we get over it. I do want to move on, but I want to reward the chat. They've been hanging in there, and there's some good stuff. First of all, M24, welcome back, guys. Sounds like he's a fan of the show. He listens in a lot. Mark England has a good one, so make it quick. Goes, let's go to you. Hooker versus McGregor. Seriously, are you feeling it? You know, they kind of had something going on in Spain. Chandler says he wanted him next, but just real quick on that one. Real quick.
Nah, I'm not really feeling it. And I don't really think we'll see Conor McGregor. So every time I hear it, it's just kind of like,